Alright, welcome back. This is day 2 of lesson 23. Just a reminder, our essential question is, how can I apply my skills in solving equations to using and solving the values in the Pythagorean Theorem? Just a reminder that the Pythagorean Theorem is a right triangle. You have to have a 90-degree angle. The legs are the short sides that form the right angle, and the hypotenuse is that longest side that is opposite the right angle. The Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So yesterday we solved for the hypotenuse. Today we're going to solve for the legs. Remember yesterday I asked you to think about this problem. How would you solve for x? And so notice that we have one leg and the hypotenuse. So in this case, I am going to identify, I will just say A is 9, B is x, or I could say B, and C is 15. And so I will do A squared plus B squared equals C squared. My A is 9, so that's 81. 9 squared is 81. 15 squared happens to be 225. Again, you may use a calculator. When I solve this inverse operation, I'm trying to solve for x, so I need to subtract 81 from both sides. When I subtract 81, I get x squared. 5 minus 1 is 4. 22 minus 8 is 14. I get x squared is 144. The inverse of square is square rooting. The square root of 144 is 12. So x equals 12 centimeters. Alright, so today all I'm going to do is do these 4 examples. As you're doing these examples, remember the hypotenuse, which is the letter, we use the letter C to represent the hypotenuse, is always the longest side, and it's opposite the right angle. In every one of these we've identified the right angle. So we know that C, in fact sometimes I like to do this first, I go through and identify C is the longest side. C is the longest side. Right angle, the C is always the side opposite the right angle. Now, what I would like you to do is pause the video and try to do these on your own, and then you can watch me. Here it says B, so we'll identify this as A. A is 3 squared plus B squared equals 8 squared. 3 squared is 9 plus B squared. 8 squared is 64. To get B by itself, I need to subtract 9 from both sides. B squared, 64 minus 9 is 75. Now, to take the square root of 75, I'm going to need to use a calculator. Or sorry, 55. I was 64 minus 9 is 55. I was adding and not subtracting. 64 minus 9 is 55. The square root is 7.4 approximately. So B is approximately 7.4 feet. Alright, in this problem, A is unknown, B is 10. We always know that the right angle, the hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. So we have a squared, because we don't know what a is, b is 10, c is 15. A squared plus b squared, 10 squared is 100, equals 15 squared. 15 squared is 225. To solve for a, the inverse of add is subtract. So I subtract 100 from both sides. A squared is equal to 125. Now to solve for a, I have to do the inverse of squaring, which is square rooting. Square root of 125 I know is going to be a little more than 11, because I know 11 squared is 121. So let's see, 125, 11.18. Let's just round that to the nearest tenth, and I'll say approximately 11.2. So A is approximately 11.2 centimeters. All right, here, A. Now this one, it doesn't matter what we call A. Let's call X 7 and C is 10. A is x squared, B is 7, we'll square that, C is 10. So we have x squared plus 7 times 7 is 49. 10 times 10 is 100. If you know your math facts, it just makes it faster. But again, you may use a calculator. Subtract 49. X squared is equal to 51. When I take the square root of 51, I know it's going to be a little more than 7. Let's see what we get. 51 square root is 7.14. We'll just say 7.1. All right, and that would be inches. All right, final one. A, well, for fun, let's just say A is 12. And we'll say B is X. And C we've already identified as 21 because it's opposite the right angle. So A is 12, and we're squaring that. B is X, and we're squaring that. C is 21, and we're squaring that. 12 times 12 is 144. And I know that 21 squared is, wait, hold on. 21 squared is 441. And we want to subtract, to solve for x, we're going to subtract 144 from both sides. So I minus 144. I get 297. X squared is equal to 297. Now I know to inverse operation, I take the square root. The square root of 297 is approximately 17.2. And the unit is feet. All right. I hope you had fun doing these Pythagorean Theorem problems.